A very good morning to you all. I am Ella, welcoming you all on behalf of Solar Quarter and the First View Group to the Solar Market Outlook Western Africa 2023 webinar. Before we proceed further, I would like to thank our panel members for their immense support to organize this event and extend my heartfelt gratitude to our sponsor, Clenergy, for being our crusaders and making this event possible. Their commitment to promoting sustainable energy solutions is truly commendable. Thank you all for joining us from around the world to delve into the current and future landscape of the solar market in Western Africa. I would now request my team to play the commercial video for Clenergy.
Hi Clenergy Club fans, how are you? My name is Marcela Pampin from Clenergy. Today we're at WIFES 2023 in Abu Dhabi. So please, if you're joining now for the first time on our channel, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. So come and join me, I'll show you around our booth. We're an Australian-Chinese company based in Xiamen and in Melbourne. We have our own factories actually in Xiamen, so that's great because we get to customize anything that our clients need to get for them the best solutions. Today we're here at the World Future Energy Summit 2023. That is WIFES, which is held down in Abu Dhabi. For this particular show, over 14,000 people are attending and we're over 141 countries exhibiting. During these 3 days in our booth, we're showcasing a tracker solution. This is our Easy Tracker D1P. So this motor can hold up to 90 panels, that's 45 on each side. All the panels have to go in portrait, and this is an amazing solution because, as we said before, we can customize anything that you need of this beauty. If it's solar roof what you're looking for, then our PV Easy Rack mounting solution is perfect for you. Over here, we got it in silver, but thanks to Clenergy Hollywood, we also got it in black. For ground mounting solution, in this opportunity, we're showcasing Solar Terrace Mac. This is our most cost-effective solution if you're looking for some ground mount. For more Solar Terrace products, please visit us in clenergy.com, fill out the form, and we will for sure assess you in your next project. Okay, so that was all for today. Thank you so much for being with me during this day. Please don't forget, like, subscribe, share, follow, tell your friends, tell everybody. So see you next time.
Thank you, team. May I now introduce Mr. Samir Jacob, Global Marketing Manager, Clenergy, to give the presentation for his company. Over to you, Mr. Jacob.
Thank you, Ala. Really appreciate you guys showing that little video there for us. And thank you to all my colleagues for putting that together. My name is Samir Jacob from Clenergy. And thank you to Solar Market for putting on this event and giving us the opportunity to showcase our brand and how we're expanding all across across Africa at the moment. Let me just quickly share my screen there with you. Cool. Can you see that there?
Yes.
Very good. All right. Well, again, yeah, my name is Samir. We'll just dive straight in. Here we are. Obviously, we all know that we're here at the West Africa Solar Market Outlook webinar. Thank you all for being here. In terms of Clenergy and our mission, for us, it's all about enabling carbon neutrality. And what does that actually mean? When it comes to various governments, different commercial properties, companies, all of you entities out there have your own targets for enabling and reaching your carbon neutrality targets, whether it's 2030, 2040, whatever it may be. For us at Clenergy, we have a range of solutions, whether it's electrical or mechanical products. And we see ourselves as that company that helps you on your journey to fulfill your targets, whether it may be in solar mounting, energy storage, portable power, and various other solutions. In terms of us, just to give you a background on who we are founded in Melbourne, Australia. We're publicly listed, manufacturing across 3 countries there in Australia, Indonesia, and China. We've done over about 20 gigawatts worldwide installations, and all of that through a bunch of various patents. Core business is all about research and development, manufacturing, and then global distribution. We do have our own projects across the countries there of China, Germany, and Australia. And we do also invest in some renewable energy projects, but primarily in Europe and in China. If you ask me, Samir, you guys do a lot of work overseas, but do you have a lot of any kind of recognition? Yes, we do. All across Australia, the UK, and different parts of Southeast Asia, we've been actually selected on various categories of the top structure within our industry. So that's what you can see there. And if you ask me, Samir, what is the secret sauce of Clenergy? Like, what makes you different? At the end of the day, what makes us different is really our people. And, having the right colleagues behind you to design the right products, to bring the right products to market is what really makes a difference. Whether it's our team in Australia or for that matter in Japan or in China, or our teams which are now in South Africa as well, and other parts of Europe and Southeast Asia. All of us combined is what makes a difference for us at Clenergy. In terms of our global footprint, this is where we are on the across the world. We've just secured new distributors all across South Africa and Nigeria, and we are looking for more partners in other parts of the continent there. In terms of today, what I wanted to really showcase and show over to the market there is 2 of our main product lines, which is our, actually just today, mainly our Easy Rack, which is our solar mounting gear. And let me take you through that specifically. In terms of our solar mounting gear, we have about 4 main categories, whether you're looking at roof mount, ground mount, which is our solar terrace category, and of course Easy Tracker, which is the tracking solution, and Clenergy Hollywood, which is our premium all black series. We also additionally have various ground structures, which is things like carports or post mounts. So on a high level, if you're looking at specifically roof mount, we have solutions there for metal roofs, tile roofs, even completely flat roofs. When you're looking at metal roofs, for example, things whether they are penetrative or non-penetrative, we've got solutions for that. If you're looking at very low pitch or flat roofs, we've got various options in terms of adjustable tilts, tripods, which are pre-assembled tilts, or let's say we've got our COMT, which is our commercial tilt system, which comes with predefined degrees of 5, 10, and 15 degrees. We also have ballast solutions. That is, if you don't want to penetrate that roof and if there are risk of any water leakages, then you can go for a ballast solution, which is held down by concrete blocks. So I'll just give you a little testimonial here from one of our customers who's done a non-penetrative solution across a metal roof here. Have a look. Cool. So that's actually a very important point that they made. When it comes to solar mounting gear, it is all about the structural and civil engineering that goes around putting the system together, depending on the load, the wind region, and so on. And so, as he mentioned there, depending on the height that they were at, and because of the wind region, they actually required more clip lock clamps to hold that system down, so it was completely secure for the lifetime of that system. And in terms of our internal teams, with our typically with most of our documentation, you get engineering certification letting you know on what parameters to use. Here's just some examples of other clip lock clamps that we have, and this is just a few of them. But we have a large variety. So I encourage you to go to our website and go to our download section. And just if you can, there's a filter there which allows you to click and filter through catalogs. You can find the one for your region, and then you can have a look at all the various varieties that's available. As we know, with a lot of solar module companies who are making all black panels, black frame, black backing sheet, it just makes sense to, if you're looking at those premium kind of homes, residential homes who want to have good aesthetics, then Clenergy Hollywood and our all black range is probably ideal for you. Let me go over now in terms of ground mount and show you some options here. So whether you're looking at single post, dual post, or some additional stability, we've got our Solar Terrace series. So and basically what that means is depending on the soil conditions, again, the wind region and the other structural and civil engineering parameters, we've got ground mount gear that will help basically, whether our Solar Terrace 2, 3, 5, it all depends on how robust and how strong you need that system to be to withstand that wind region or snow load or whatever it may be, or in terms of the soil integrity as well. Let me just give you a quick little testimonial here from another customer who's put the ground mount together. Cool. That's a nice one there. So next one there is trackers. And so I think most of the people here, they know about trackers. In terms of the choices, they're pretty simple. If you're looking at a single panel in portrait, or if you're looking at two panels in portrait, we've got options for both of those. And if you're looking for additional smarts in terms of the electronics to be connected to local weather patterns so that it can immediately adjust itself to a stow position. For example, if it's too windy, we've also got those additional smarts that can be put in. I do have another video, but I think I might be short for time, so I'll skip. All the videos that you're going to see here on my presentation are available on our website under the media and video section. So I encourage you to go have a look at those. I just do know that I am short for time, so I'll just move on ahead. In terms of ground structures, this is some exciting part which is gaining a lot of traction. If you're looking at solar carports, whether you're looking for single bay, which is for one car, or double bay for two cars, if you're looking for whether you want it in all black or all in silver, we've got options there for you. If you're looking at a single post or dual post, because depending on how you want to make it more accessible for your vehicles to get in and out, we've got options there for you. And once you speak to one of our sales team, they'll probably recommend the best one to suit your situation and your project site. We also have post mounts, and post mounts are typically just a singular post that will hold anything between one, two, three, four, up to even I think it says there eight, but I think we can go up to 10 panels as well, and that is for the regular to even the extra large panels. In terms of our online presence, we've got a lot of material on our website, whether it's podcasts talking to influencers in the industry across the globe, panel discussion, how to install videos, testimonials, and all of our industry awards. It's all available there. So I do encourage you to go to clenergy.com to navigate through our offerings and also to have a look at all of the media that we've put together as well. In terms of for us as a company, we are very much dedicated towards environmental social governance, whether it is installing solar farms on our own properties to reduce our own carbon footprint, looking after all of our staff, global social welfare, and we do invest in terms of a lot with universities who have mechanical or electrical engineering programs dedicated towards solar, or even, for example, the one that the image you're seeing here is of a battery-powered an EV F1 vehicle for an Australian-based university who's built that car purely by themselves. We support their team there. And their mission towards the electrification of transportation. If you're going to say, Samir, you talk a lot about the company and your products, but who else is actually buying your products? Well, here it is. That's a bunch of companies that buy our products here locally in Australia. Some of the brands you might recognize. Here's some of the brands that buy our product across Japan, across Asia Pacific, Southeast Asia, and our customers all across Europe. Yeah, and actually also parts of Africa as well. So if you were looking for our distributors who are closest to you, easiest way to do this is go to our website. On the second menu, there's actually a button that says distributors, and look for store locator. And then in the filter, you can actually find, look for your country, and then you can find the closest one geographically to you. And if you are a company that's a distributor yourself, or a large retailer, utility, EPC that's looking for direct accounts with us, I encourage you, go to our contact us page on clenergy.com, and our team will be there to service and look after you. You can follow us on the various channels that's up on the screen there. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time. And over back to you, Ala. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jacob, for that informative presentation. Here I would like to make a small announcement. Attendees can post their questions in the Q&A box, and our speakers will answer those questions at the end of the panel discussion. Now, let's take a deep dive into the solar market outlook of Western Africa. In an era where the urgency of combating climate change is paramount, Western Africa is at the forefront of an exhilarating transformation in the realm of solar energy. This region boasts exceptional potential for harnessing clean and renewable power sources, offering not only a path to sustainability but also the promise of robust economic growth, new employment opportunities, and enhanced energy security. This webinar will serve as a platform for industry leaders, policymakers, innovators, and stakeholders to come together and explore the dynamic changes occurring in Western Africa's solar energy sector. Our goal is to foster a deeper understanding of the opportunities and challenges in this evolving landscape, as well as to showcase successful projects and initiatives that are already driving progress. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce you to our esteemed panel of speakers for today. Mr. Doton Token, CEO, SolarMate Engineering Limited; Mr. Chidi Ubike, Founder and CEO, Power Up Renewables Limited; Ms. Queen Agumon, Regional Lead, Women in Renewable Energy; and Ms. Doreen Kenete Essel, Head of Sub-Saharan Africa, Ecoligo. Ms. Queen Agumon, Regional Lead for Women in Renewable Energy, will be the moderator for the session. Over to you, Ms. Queen.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Queen Agamon, and I'm your moderator for this session today. So I serve as regional lead for WIRE, that's the Women in Renewable Energy, and also work for a company called Stimaco as sales operations manager. So we help you with smart metering solutions. So today we'll be discussing the solar market outlook for West Africa. We all know that there is a huge challenge of a lack of productive power to millions in West Africa, as well as to billions in the entire continent of Africa. So the need for solar energy is rapidly on the increase, and it certainly holds a very important place in energy transition. So the topics today we'll be looking at are current state of the solar market in West Africa, the policy and regulatory development, financing and investment opportunities, looking at the latest technology and innovation trends. We're also going to be talking about some case studies with regards successful solar projects that have been implemented in the region, as well as future outlook on the solar market. So I have the honor of welcoming our esteemed panelists who come with an extensive knowledge and experience in the solar sector in West Africa. So I'm just going to have them introduce themselves. Maybe we start with Mr. Dotun.
Okay, good morning and thank you, Queen. Thank you to the organizers. I'm honored, a pleasure to be here. My name is Dr. Togu and I work for a company called SolarMate Engineering Limited. We are an EPC in the renewable energy space. We've been around since 1996, so we're kind of old company for the Nigerian company. And yeah, we like to say that we started solar when the PV module was $3 per watt. Now it's just some few cents per watt. Thank you. I guess that's just a short intro about myself.
Thank you so much. Can we have Mr. Chidi Obike introduce himself as well?
Thank you very much, Queen, and thanks to Solar Portal for this opportunity. It's a great privilege and a pleasure to be here. So I am the founder and CEO of Power Up Renewables Limited. Power Up Renewables is an award-winning renewable energy company focused on deploying solar power for the commercial and industrial sector in Nigeria. So I myself am a seasoned technology and business professional with many years of sales and business management experience working for global companies such as Ericsson and Huawei. Thank you.
Thank you. And please, may I have Miss Doreen? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Queen. So I am Doreen Kanete Isel, currently heading the African division at Ecoligo, basically spearheading the expansion of the company's footprint across sub-Saharan Africa with the ultimate goal to address the key barrier to deployment of solar energy in Africa, which is mainly affordable access to affordable financing. I currently manage a CNI portfolio over 20 million euros, which is serving over 70 commercial and industrial clients. And we are, as a company, we are dedicated to expanding our solution in the region and beyond. I do hold 8 years of hands-on experience in the solar space, spanning across the entire developmental stages from project development, innovative financing, as well as EPC, so engineering, procurement, and construction. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to an insightful discussion with you all.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. So while I have you on here, Ms. Doreen, I'd just like to bring you on to talk more about the current state of the solar market in the region. I know you're the head of Sub-Saharan Africa at Ecoligo, so could you just shed some more light on what the current state of the solar market is?
Okay, thank you for the question, Queen. In summary, I would say positive and hopeful for more growth. And some of the reasons behind this short summary is basically, first of all, Africa in general, and not leaving West Africa out since West Africa includes Africa, basically has access to abundant sunshine throughout the year, therefore making the region ideal for solar energy generation. And hence, we have an excellent foundation for solar energy projects in the first place. Aside from this, there are other factors that also come into play. And over the few years, I would say about 5 years, there has been lots of positive progress within the solar energy space within West Africa and Africa in general. One of them has been the access to international support. We see that now there's international organizations and partners, development partners that are currently actively involved in supporting the growth of solar energy in West Africa. And this type of support includes access to funding, technical assistance, capacity building initiatives from the likes of the IFC, AFDB, MEGA providing guarantees for large-scale solar projects. Also, other institutional lender facilities also now investing in the market, such as Propaco, AfriGreen, Triple Jump, all contributing together to make the growth of solar energy within the region successful. Additionally, we see that there's an increase to an access to the innovative type of financing, making solar projects much more bankable. If you also look at the financing models that are now being introduced, such as the lease-to-own models, the power purchase agreement models for commercial and industrial clients, looking at the pay-as-you-go models for solar home systems or residential solar, and then now looking at sovereign guarantees-backed financing for large-scale projects. All these contribute to the progress of the status of solar energy in West Africa. Basically, all these points I'm mentioning, when we look at 5 years ago, we did not have access to any of these. But with 5 years now, we see that there has been tremendous progress within these areas. And this is increasing to the growing opportunities and projects we see now. There are a number of rooftop installations and also large farms of projects. For example, Ghana recently in 2021 commissioned a 50 megawatt utility scale project. And these are all because of access to these various factors that I have listed. So in summary, I believe that as we have more of these and also more of an enabling environment and policies and regulations that supports the growth, the sky is the ceiling for the region. The current status is great, but there is still more for there's still more room for improvement, and I believe that the capacity would grow beyond where we currently stand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Doreen. That's very well said. I couldn't agree anymore. That's absolutely true. There's so much happening. I mean, the policies have now been implemented, and we have the private sector who have come in also into the space, and now also ensuring that they're bringing in their equipment. The financiers are also making funds available. So absolutely, Africa, West Africa in particular, is the ripe. We're at the ripe stage for even more advancements. So I'm just going to call on Mr. Chike. Do you have some more points to add to this?
Okay, thank you very much. So the solar market in the West Africa region is actually divided into three major sections. You have the utility scale, you have the C&I, and the mini grid sector. You also have the solar home systems. Now, the utility scale sector is actually growing gradually. We have some, like in some countries, you have a few large-scale projects that were deployed, like in Togo, also in, as she mentioned, we also have in Nigeria, we have a 10 megawatt project that was deployed in Nigeria. So that sector is still growing gradually. Then we have the CNI sector, which is actually there's a lot of activity for the CNI sector in the region because most CNI companies made up of mainly manufacturers are having a lot of problems, struggling with unreliable and inadequate power supply. And CNI solar is a very innovative solution that provides reliable power with massive savings on their electricity costs, mainly diesel and gas prices. It also provides them with products. It provides them with grid stability for grid electricity. It provides them with. It protects them from grid electricity fluctuations of prices and also fluctuations in diesel and gas prices. So for CNI sector is at the tipping point and is poised for explosive growth. This high level of activity since 2015, when high actually quadrupled. You also have the aging power grids in the region. Then there's the mounting global pressure to reduce carbon emissions, and also the growing adoption of solar by large multinational companies and manufacturers in this region. So the exciting thing is that the West African CNI solar market has barely scratched the surface. Another sector that is growing, that is experiencing significant progress, is the mini grid sector. For instance, in Nigeria, there's a lot of activity in this sector, boosted by incentives such as the performance-based grants and the promotional activities of the Rural Electrification Agency. So far, the REA has deployed over 103 mini grids in the sector, totaling 5.8 megawatts, and providing a total connection of over 46,000 connections to households, MSMEs, and public facilities. And this has impacted over 230,000 people. Now, these connections provide for brighter futures, improved livelihoods, and opportunities for economic growth for people in the region. Now, there's actually an additional plan to connect an additional 281,000 mini grid connections to enterprises and homes in the region. So what I would say is that there's a lot of activity going on for the CNI mini grids sector, mainly in the region. There's a lot of influx of private investment companies like my other speaker spoke about, which is providing a lot of finance into the sector. So we're actually poised for a lot of growth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chike. That was very well said. Sorry if you can mute for now so that the echo is. So I was just gonna say thank you so much for that, for sharing that knowledge. Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, due to the epileptic power supply in the country and in the region at large, I mean, we all know that we're yet to achieve 100% universal electrification rate, and thus that has, imposed a lot of constraint on the people and on businesses as well. And so we have the solar home systems that have been deployed for the rural areas, those that live in the villages in the off grid, right, where the disco or the main grid does not have enough assets to reach them. We also have the mini grids as well for more community clusters, whereby power is generated and distributed in those communities. And we also have solar rooftop as well for houses in the urban area, as well as the commercial and industry for factories, for businesses, right? And so definitely solar is still being taken up and used, and I feel like it's also advancing even further. Definitely, there's still that problem with augmenting power supply from the grid, and thus people feel there's a need to balance it out and augment with alternative so sorry, with alternative energy supply such as solar energy and the rest. So absolutely well said. Definitely there's financing opportunities that are in the space through different government agencies that have the mandate for renewable energy deployment and implementation in the space, in the country and in the region, as well as help from foreign donors who, like everyone, like you both have rightly mentioned, are making a huge impact in the solar sector. However, there's still huge number of people who still do not have access to electricity, and thus there's still a need to advance solar. So we're just going to be moving to the next question, talking more about policy, regulatory developments in the region. Chike, if you don't mind, if I call you back again just to talk more about this, what do you think are the policies and regulatory developments?
Thank you. The countries in West, the government of most countries in West Africa have come to the key realization point that they have to capitalize on the abundant renewable energy resources in this region to build a sustainable energy system that can meet the growing needs of their population and also address socio-economic challenges. To this end, most countries in this region have developed strategic policies and laws to foster the transition to renewable energy, especially solar power. For example, the Energy Transition Plan and the Electricity Act 2023 in Nigeria, which contains innovative provisions such as the feed-in tariffs, rural fund for renewable electricity projects, then also mandatory obligations for GenCos and for bulk traders of electricity to generate a portion of their power from renewable energy, and also to purchase a portion of their of the of their energy which they trade from renewable energy sources. Also, the Act also provides in this section. Now, also NEC provides in the Act also mandates NEC to provide incentives to support independent power producers, like tax breaks, so they can finance their activities easily and also get good return on investment from their business activities. Now, another very powerful provision of the Electricity Act 2023 is that it allows for decentralization of Nigeria's power system, thereby permitting states government to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity within their states. This throws up very huge opportunities for nationwide deployment of utility scale, embedded mini grids, and standalone mini grids, and also C&I solar. So with the proper implementation of all these policies and laws across the West African region, it can actually position the region as a leader in renewable energy, thereby mitigating its electricity supply issues and climate change impacts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry that your okay, thank you. If you can mute, please.
Okay, thank you. You can mute, please.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so absolutely well said. So I know you're referring to the regulatory bodies in Nigeria. So I know this also applies to other West African countries as well. And so there are policies that have been effected and implemented. You've mentioned the Electricity Power Sector Reform Act, and there's some other policies as well. The regulatory bodies such as NEC, NEMSA, that basically ensure that we adhere and players adhere to all the stringent policies that are being imposed on the sector to ensure that we go according to plan. So definitely well said. Just next time you speak, let's just check on your mic or your internet. It was breaking up a bit. So I'm just going to be moving to the next question, and I'm going to, yes, thank you. And I'm going to call on Doreen and just basically want to ask you what are the latest financing options and investment opportunities in the solar sector, and how do they vary from the utility scale projects, the CNI, from the commercial installation to mini grids to residential solar projects? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Queen. Okay, so let's start with utility scale projects. Um, Generally, the financing models for the various sectors that you've mentioned, or solar models that you've mentioned, from utility scale, CNI, residential, mini grids, they all vary. You cannot apply one financing scheme in the utility scale to that in the CNI or in the mini grid space. So starting with utility scale. So generally you see that utility scale projects are very capital intensive, and mainly due to the infrastructure size, and we have capacities above 10 megawatts falling within this range. And so the cost tends to be much higher, and for developing countries, and you find that most African countries fall within the developing country category, including West African countries, that investment cost tends to come with a higher risk perspective from the investor side. So we find that most of these projects are mainly financed through DFIs. So the likes of the IFC, so DFI is Development Finance Institutions, so like the likes of IFC and AFDB, who generally make commitments to deploy solar projects in these African countries, or West Africa in particular. One other aspect when it comes to financing utility scale projects is, as I mentioned, due to the higher risk perspective associated with that, there's the need to de-risk it for these financiers, and also to improve upon the bankability through innovative means such as providing sovereign guarantees or green bonds or partial guarantees to go hand in hand with these financing or financing opportunities. So this is on the utility scale side of things. Now, when you move into the CNI sector, we also see that because of the risk associated with utility scale project, we see a lot of investors now moving towards investment into CNI and rooftop solar. And it's because it's much more, when you look at the technical efficiency combined with the bankability point of view, they're able to de-risk the project to a point where financing becomes more easy. And so you find that now a lot of financiers are focusing on the CNI side. And so there are a lot of CNI financing opportunities around to finance projects ranging between the 50 kilowatt peaks or the 5 megawatts and the 10 megawatt scale. And these tend to be smaller ticket sizes. And these are usually done through debt financing or through our normal commercial banks or green banks or impact lending institutions that have been set up for the likes of our company, EcoLegal, as well as others such as AfriGreen. And these type of financing also come at somewhat higher cost in comparison to what the DFIs provide. Mainly because we do not have that economics of scale. Obviously, if you're installing 100 megawatt peak capacity, then the financing rates would be much more attractive because you're looking at a bigger volume. Now, with these smaller volumes, you tend to have higher interest rates on these financing schemes or financing facilities available. What we also see is that when it comes to residential scale solar, it's a bit lacking when it comes to financing. Hardly do you find institutional lenders focusing on providing facilities for residential solar. So that is a space which is still developing. Most of the residential solar projects are either financed by outright purchase or right out of the pocket of the client, or through bank financing. However, bank financing also needs more improvement because banks usually finance solar projects as if they are financing cars. So these are the various dynamics that you see within the financing space or the various financing opportunities available. When it comes to the mini grid space, mini grid is still a bit tricky. Because we need to get to a point where we have the right financing opportunities to make it more attractive in terms of returns for investors and surety of being able to recoup investment. And also the mentality behind financing mini grids needs to change a bit. They need to look at longer terms. Because if you're focused on shorter terms, then it doesn't make financial sense mainly for the financiers. So you find the mini grids are mainly financed or backed by grants financing to make this work. So this is a holistic view of the sort of financing structures or opportunities available for the various segments within the solar energy space. Thank you.
Thank you. I was also going to ask you more about, developers saying that it's hard to get money, especially local companies in the space. Yes, there is an availability of funding, right? So there is access to finance. There is finance, right? But why is it that there's such difficulty in accessing these funds? Can you just speak more about that?
Okay, thank you for the question once again. Um, Obviously, any investor investing in any project would be also counting their risk associated with that project. So to de-risk the project, so if you pick developers in the CNI space, for instance, first of all, what is the technical bankability of the project or the designs made on the project? Secondly, what is the off-taker's ability to make payments to the funds made available to execute the project? These are two main points that any investor would be looking at. And so if a developer comes up with a project or introduces a project for a particular client, and an investor also investigates and realizes that there would be difficulty in recouping their returns on the project, obviously that becomes a problem. However, if all the checks are done and the project is in a state that is attractive for any investor, like you've rightly mentioned, there are numerous facilities available. And I think I've mentioned a few. So we have Propaco, we have Credit, we have Triple Jump facilities. We have AfriGreen, who is actually dedicated to financing projects in Africa. We have the likes of EcoLegal. For if you take EcoLegal, for instance, our main mandate is to provide access to affordable financing to developers, actually. So we finance developers, we finance EPCs, and we finance direct clients. However, at the end of the day, the contract is signed directly with the client because they would make the payments. So if a developer approaches us with a project, we would look at the technical aspect of the project and also look at the financing, the financial status aspect of the project in regards to the client. If these two are looking good for us, it's a go ahead for us, and we are always happy to finance projects for developers. There are other institutions of our like, and there are numerous of them in the market. Though there's also still room for more financing opportunities to come in. There are certain banks that are also currently providing green financing. For instance, in Ghana, we have CalBank that has a facility mainly to finance solar energy projects. I believe Access Bank as well in Nigeria also has a similar facility. So there are opportunities. Developers just need to make sure that they're selecting the right projects, the right clients, which brings comfort to investors to go the full mile with them when it comes to financing their projects. Thank you.
Thank you thank you so much. That was well said. I think we have a question on the chat from Anson. And I think this question is for Mr. Chike. Right. Thank you. And it says, what is the environmental regulations, environment, and role players within Western Africa?
Okay, various countries have specific environmental regulations, or because it varies per country. But before you deploy any project, particularly large-scale projects in the region, you have specific feasibility studies regulations that must be done, and approvals that must be gotten before you deploy the project across West Africa, as far as I know. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chike. And I also think thank you. Please can you mute? Thank you. Okay, good. I also just wanted to add to that and just say that we also have ministries of environment that basically saddled with the, mandate to ensure that we adhere to environmental regulations. We have some studies done. We have some frameworks. There's a study framework by the Africa Development Bank, the Environmental and Social Management Plan, for short is ESMP. You can check that out as well, that we also adhere to. We have some other organizations such as the NESRA, and that's to call it out, is National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency. And so as their name imply, you could tell that they are here to ensure that they enforce these environmental standards for key players in the space. And that definitely involves battery disposal. We also have e-waste guidelines. I'm sure you can Google that as well. and check on your websites, and that would give you some idea as to how to go about that. If you want, when your battery or even your solar panel has completed its life cycle and you want to dispose of it, and how to do that. There's a lot of collection sites across the country. Yes, and so we have this as well. We have social management systems, that developers accesses, when it comes to going into the community and addressing any grievance, within the people there as well. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you. We have another question from Somik, and it says, what are the size of the projects in the CNI sector? So I know we have the CNI people here. Let's call on Doreen and I think Chidi as well, since you guys are on the CNI space. So he's asking, what are the size of the projects in the CNI sector?
Okay, happy to take that. In the CNI sector, I think I mentioned it earlier. Basically, you find capacities ranging from your 50 kilowatt peak to about 5 megawatts. Sometimes it may go beyond the 5 megawatt to about 10 megawatts, but these are the sort of capacities we see.
Thank
Okay.
you.
To add to that, is actually correct from 550 kilowatts peak to the 5 megawatt range. But we also have some projects, a few projects, and like I know of one that has done up to 17 megawatts, in Nigeria. So we'll say in a nutshell, say from 15 kilowatts peak to 20 megawatts is the range.
Thank you so much. I hope, Somik, that answers your question. We're going to move on to our next discussion point, and that's pretty much about the latest technology and innovation trends in the sector. You're welcome, Somik. And so I'm going to just have Chike just talk more about that. Can you just shed some light as to what you think the latest technology and innovation trends are?
Okay, the name is actually Chidi.
I'm sorry, Chidi.
Okay. All right. So we have many interesting technological advancements in the solar sector. For instance, we have solar panel cleaning robots. These are robots that automatically clean solar panels without any human intervention, and they do it without water. So this saves, and they also have some of them have inbuilt solar panels, so they don't use any energy. You don't need to burn diesel or fuel to power them while cleaning the solar panels. So you save on power, you reduce emissions, and also you save the environment by using less water. And they can clean very large, even utility scale projects. We also have containerized solutions, high capacity containerized solutions for where you have inverters and battery banks in a single container. So you can have a battery bank of 1 megawatt, even up to 4 megawatt in a single container. So this reduces the overall cost of system deployment, mainly for utility scale and CNI projects. So you just wait. So when you have a project, just come drop a container. All the wiring has been done. Charge controllers, everything is in a container. So it speeds up the deployment time and makes the deployment very simple. Now we also have a high capacity. The trend now is to have inverters with higher capacity and smaller footprints, with a higher number of MPPTs, which allows for more flexible installation of solar panels on roofs with varying shapes. So you can actually generate this flexibility enables you to generate more power from the system. So I think that's what I have on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very well said. Please, if you can mute, that would be appreciated. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to now be looking at some of the case studies on some successful projects, solar projects that have been implemented in the West Africa region. I'm going to call on Mr. Dotson to just shed some light as to the successful solar project that his company have implemented. And Mr. Dotson, while you speak, there's a question from Nadine that asks if there are any projects particularly referring to solar pumping. So if you have such, please mention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Queen. At last I get to speak. All right, we are an EPC, like I said, and in 27 years of experience, we have seen lots of successes, and we have seen equally lots of failures. And for us, we think we actually learn more from failures than successes. Because sometimes when you succeed, you don't bother to find out why. And when you fail, you look at yourself and think, what exactly did I do wrong? And for us, one key thing is to understand exactly what the off-taker wants. This might seem simple, but we have seen a lot of off-takers completely unhappy with their installation, not because they were not working, but because they didn't understand. They were not on the same page with the developer. And so that is still a failure, even though the package is working as it should, but the off-taker was looking for something else. And there is a recent one where the off-taker thought that because the solar is 500 kilowatt, he's going to get 500 kilowatt instantaneous load. And he didn't get that and was completely unhappy. We have also seen another one where the package is working excellently, but the off-taker, one way or the other, didn't know it was a hybrid and he didn't know his generator will run. Again, I said these things sound simple, but they mean everything to the off-taker. So we say the key to success is for the developer, for the off-taker to be on the same page, for the developer to completely 110% understand what the off-taker wants. What are the challenges? Are you trying to reduce carbon footprint? Are you trying to reduce cost of electricity? So there's something to measure. So there's a KPI to look out for and measure success. Of course, like I said, there's been a lot of success. We are focused on commercial and industrial and mini grids. And we have done projects that have been running since 2017 successfully. The client is completely happy. We've done projects that we finished recently. We've also seen projects where we had to completely disconnect because the client was unhappy, meanwhile he was working. And we have seen that because we are an EPC, we work with developers. And while we are doing the engineering, we try to ensure that the developer is selling the right thing to the off-taker. And again, it might seem I'm dwelling on failures, but the challenge is in many years in Nigeria, there has been a time when everybody thought solar didn't work. We as a company with some German partners actually had to do a program called Solar Works or Solar is Successful, which could sound ridiculous to solar people if you don't understand where the challenge is coming from. So again, just to repeat what I've said, to be successful, we need to understand what the off-taker wants. The off-taker must be happy at the end of the day. And this certainly automatically will reflect on funding partners. A lot of funding partners still don't completely understand what we're selling, and that's why funding could be difficult. And many people, even in the solar space, for instance, when people ask me what is the size of the solar package, in my head, maybe because I'm an engineer, I'm thinking, are you talking solar modules? Are you talking inverters? Are you talking batteries? Because the three can be completely different. We have done a project of 1 megawatt solar and 6 megawatt hour batteries. Is that a 6 megawatt hour project or a 1 megawatt? And these are indices that actually show exactly how it's going to operate. So for us, the key to success, and there have been lots of successes, is a complete understanding of what the man, the woman that will use the package is looking at thoroughly, and also to try and mention what we think the other party is not looking at that could be a game changer at the end of the day. Okay, so that's it for now. If there are any questions, I know there was a question on pumping. For us in CNI, we just look at load. Whatever your load is, we're going to power it. Some time back, we used to do solar water pumping. We haven't done that in a while, so we seriously don't have that experience, but that is certainly possible. But we just look at what is the load you have, you do a power audit, and then you do a design to ensure the client gets exactly what they want. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dutton. That was very well said. It's, very important that for you to attain a successful solar project, you have to ensure that your off-taker is very well educated as to what to expect. Most of the times, they believe that solar should run on its own for 24 hours, 7 days a week. However, that's usually not the case because, obviously solar is a hybrid solution. And so it's always good to make sure that they're very well informed so that they really understand energy efficiency and how to prolong the batteries and all that stuff. So it definitely well said. Thank you so much, Mr. Dutton. I also would like to call on Ms. Doreen, and just ask you if you could provide any particular case studies of successful solar projects that have been implemented in West Africa. Can you also highlight like some key factors that contribute to their success, such as maybe financing model or even like technology choices? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Queen. Yes, I will try to give examples across the region, focusing on Ghana and then Nigeria, and also utility scale and CNI. So starting with utility scale, I had earlier mentioned the 50 megawatt first hydro solar hybrid power generating solar system, which was also coupled with a 5 megawatt floating system, which is a new technology. I believe it was the very first in West Africa as well, which was commissioned in 2021 in Ghana. I believe that one of the contributing factors to making this happen was mainly because of government's commitment. So, as part of Ghana government's commitment to the Paris Agreement, they have committed to achieving 10% of their energy mix coming from renewable energy by 2030. So deploying this 50 megawatt, which is actually the first phase of a 250 megawatt hydro plant in plan, this was just showing their commitment to doing so. So this basically government commitment is a motivation factor to spearheading or supporting the deployment of solar energy in the region. When we look at Nigeria, for instance, I'm Ghanaian, so I might not get the capacities right, but I believe that there's also an 8.2 megawatt system for the Federal University of Agriculture. And there's also a 7.1 megawatt Bayero University. This was also worked on by the government, mainly the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, and it was part of the Rural Electrification Agency program. And this is also to highlight the need of the support from government through their commitment to deploying solar. Now, when we come to the CNI side, if we take eco-legal business, for instance, we've been able to provide fully financed solutions to commercial and industrial clients across the region. So when we say fully financed solutions, the client does not invest a single cent in the project. From the beginning to the end of the project is fully financed by EcoLegal. The client only starts paying once the system is up and running and they observe that the system is functioning well. So when we have these type of financing models available, so the reason for success of these projects that I would mention is basically the easy access to financing for these projects or to the off-takers directly to make the projects happen. So we have the likes of Fan Milk. We in West Africa, we all enjoy Fan Milk. They have a 220 kilowatt peak system for one of their distribution centers in Kumasi, Ghana. We are also completing or commissioning a project for Gregory University in Nigeria for a 120 kilowatt peak system. They also went through the same process with us, no investment at all. However, in a few weeks or a week or two, they would have their system up and running and can take their time to make the payment to own the asset at some point in time. In Ivory Coast, we have the same for Goethe Institute. And basically, in totality, what I'm trying to say is that access to affordable finance is one of the enabling factors to having successful case studies, as I have listed. So these are the case studies that I'll highlight for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very well said. Just to interject and bring on that question by Nadine, Mary talked about if there were any current projects in the solar pumping in West Africa. I know that the REA is Rural Electrification Agency. We have it in Nigeria. I believe it's also spread across other Africa countries as well. And we have various programs under there. We have one called Africa Mini Grid Program, AMP. They aim to provide funding for the productive use equipment, and I know solar pumping is a productive use equipment as well for farming and irrigation. We also have the Energizing Agriculture program that aims to catalyze economic development and improve rural livelihoods by leveraging on energy access to boost agriculture productivity. I know we also have like organizations like All On that provides funding for small, unique offerings like such as solar pumping as well. So I hope that that would help to help you get started. Thank you. Moving back to our question on basically what is the future outlook. We'll be looking at what is the future outlook of solar in the sector. I'm going to call on Mr. Dotun, if you could take us on that. What do you think? What do you envisage is the future really of solar in the country and in the region? Thank you.
Okay, again, thank you, Queen. We are in the CNI space, and with the current developments and narratives in Nigeria, especially, where we're looking a lot more at decentralization, then I think there is a very, very huge market. I know many years back we tried to do some analysis on our own, and we are looking at several gigawatt of CNI in Nigeria. And again, this will continue to increase as economy improves. Yeah, presently there are probably lots of factories that are dead or dying, but we hope as the economy improves, more factories will come up, more large offices will. Uh, there's decentralization in the air that everybody's talking about. So, and the great thing again, like in Nigeria, we've seen in the last 3, 4, 5 months, is that the discos, which are the distribution companies, are now a lot interested in adding renewable energy solar into the mix. We've had lots of talks and some pre-engineering with some discos where we are looking at estates and injecting maybe 2 megawatt, as long as we can find a little space for the solar. So I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see a lot of improvement. In the next 10 years, certainly a lot more. Again, a lot depends on whatever they call it, right funding, affordable funding, because the funding has to be there. The off-takers are not likely going to come up with this huge cost. They will still have to depend on whether the bank. So I think there should still be a lot of discussions, advocacy around understanding of solar packages with renewable energy association, with government bodies. But yes, there is a very bright outlook. But of course, it depends on some indices, which I think I've mentioned. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you so much. I mean, in regards to the energy transition, definitely all companies, especially a lot of like factories, are now transitioning from using, primarily power from the grid to other, alternative energy sources such as solar as well. Yeah, so definitely that's the future. That's the future. We're going to see more renewables coming into the space, and we're going to see more of these large organizations take just basically taking that on. I know even with the oil companies as well. I've heard of like the Exxon and Mobil. All of them are now beginning. They now have like renewable energy units and departments formed in their organizations, and they're now trying to see how to, adhere to these policies. Because I mean, think about it. Those huge carbon dioxide that's been emitted in the in the in the atmosphere is really negatively impacting on lives. And even just you could see how the weather's changed. I don't know about where you live, but where I live, you can see that there's a change. You can see that the rising water levels in the ocean has increased. Just so many things have changed, and so definitely there's a need to begin to look at how to transition. So very well, I agree with you. That's the future. Let me call on Ms. Doreen to also shed some light on that question as well. What's the anticipated future outlook for the solar market in West Africa, considering factors like expected growth trend, policy development, and the role of the international partnerships and investments in the region in solar sector? Thank you.
Thank you. I believe yourself and Mr. Doughton have actually covered most of the points. But I mean, just looking at Nigeria, for instance, when I think about replacing all the diesel generators alone in Nigeria, that's a huge step forward, and that's a huge opportunity already. And we have numerous African countries having or facing the same challenges with access to grid electricity or even reliable power in general. So looking at the bigger view, the opportunities are massive. The growth expected is also massive. But as rightly mentioned, there are certain factors that come into play and should work hand in hand to be able to realize this. And one of the main ones would be basically policy and regulation. Basically, we need a collective effort to reform and then include all the various aspects needed to create an enabling environment for investors to invest, whether it's technical investment, finance investment, impact-related investment. We need that enabling environment to be able to realize the bigger vision of mitigating climate change at the end. We've mentioned a lot about the play of international partnerships. We definitely need more of this as well. We need more involvement from the World Banks, from the IFC, from AFDB. We need more involvement from there as well as more involvement from other private investment sectors into focusing on the African region. Often investors see Africa as a risk zone, and not that that is not the case. However, I believe that there are certain measures that can be put in place to still make things work within the region. So definitely need more of private sector investments as well, both local and international, to be able to grow investments within the various sectors of renewable energy. One other thing that we also really need is the equipment and manufacturing industries in Africa itself. I believe that once we're able to have this will also significantly drive down the costs, because then we take away importation costs and all those additional costs when it comes to shipping components from China into the various African countries. So these are some of the factors or indices that need to come in play to make the potential growth of Western Africa and Africa at large really happen and take place. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very well said. I definitely agree that we need more investments with regards to manufacturing in Nigeria, because it's so expensive really to import these days. When you talk about the duty, the clearance, and all the tax that has been imposed on the importers, you would see that if we had, and we do actually have some of them, to be quite honest, but we need more of that, right? We need more, just so that we can begin to shift and pivot from importation to actually utilizing, local content. Very well said. Thank you very much. So I've exhausted the questions I have. So I'm just going to go to the chat. So now, audience, if you have any questions to ask our great panelists, please do type it out. There's one I left out from Somik, and he was asking if there are any opportunities for the off-grid and hybrid implementation in West Africa in the near future, right? Thank you. And I don't know, is anybody on here that would like to give this question a try?
Yes. As I said earlier, we have policies. Most countries are developing policies that is factor. So, like for instance, in Nigeria, you now have the ability to, within a state, to generate, transmit, or distribute electricity. So you can now have standalone, power plants serving a particular maybe community. So this gives a lot of opportunity for off-grid deployments of solar power. So the opportunity is actually very, very large currently.
Yeah, absolutely. There are lots more opportunities for off-grid and hybrid implementation. I know that there's off-grid and on-grid. That's like an off mini grid, right? And then the grid itself coming together, forming a tripartite agreement, whereby the agreement is signed between the off-grid and the grid, and then also the community, and then they agree on a tariff. And that's a lot. We call that interconnected mini grid. And so, yeah, definitely there are more opportunities for off-grid and hybrid implementation as well. I know Mr. Dotton spoke about that too. The next question on here is from Tekura Thompson, and he said he lives in Lagos State, with a power supply hour of about 4.5 hours per day. Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry. And so he's asking really, what's the possibility of having 24 hours power, right? If a company decides to rely solely on solar for operation. So I'm going to throw this out. Anybody who would really want to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, let me take that. Okay. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we have very innovative technological advancements whereby you can have a high capacity solar power systems in a container. You have all the inverters, you have a large battery bank. So you can actually drop this for a company, and power all their electricity needs for the whole day and into the night. So far the financing is available. Either the company has the capacity to finance the project, or there's a financier that can come in, and provide them power as a service. So the technology is available, and it's just the financing you can key in, and everything, and all the factors are aligned. Of course, it's very much doable. We have also, in the course of our job, we have proposed such solutions to several factories.
Thank you so much, Chidi. Mr. Dotson, do you want to add to this as well?
Yeah, okay. Same thing. I was just going to say, yeah, but very, very possible. But there are challenges. Just quickly, the thing is the solar package needs to consider certain things, load profile. So it might be cheaper for someone not running a lot of equipment at night to have solar 24/7. It might be a little bit more difficult for somebody that's running a lot of loads at night because the battery bank will be large. But short answer is, oh yes, it's possible to have solar and batteries 24/7 without the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mr. Tekura Thompson, I hope that answers your question. So definitely there is a possibility of having 24 hours power, if you want to rely solely on if you want to rely solely on solar. So you have your people here, you can always talk to them afterwards. We have another question. I'm going to call Miss Doreen to answer this. I hope she's ready. It says, and this is also from Somik. It says, what are the challenges in raw material procurement for CNI scale projects? And is there a scope to identify the gaps, if any, in terms of distribution?
Okay, I believe this question should have actually gone to Mr. Dutton or Chidi because they are EPCs. We generally do not procure the components directly, but maybe I can chip in a few points before they come in. Some of the challenges that I see is basically, I earlier mentioned, is basically the cost of shipping the procurement from the manufacturers, which usually or mainly sit in China. So that are some of the challenges that we see in certain markets. In Nigeria, in particular, the clearing and custom duty and tax costs when the components are coming into the country tends to be quite high. We also see similar for Ivory Coast. I believe it's the highest within the West African region. Ghana is sort of now at a good point, but could do better. So we're generally seeing ranges between 7 and as high as 26% when it comes to importation costs on the clearing and taxes associated with clearing the goods when they arrive at the port into the country. That's one major challenge that we do hear our EPC partners mention. The other challenge is, we sort of mitigate this challenge that I am about to mention. There are so many solar products on the market. However, there are tiers when it comes to the solar product. Same with inverters, same with mountain systems. some clients that end up facing problems in installed systems, mainly due to the fact that the low tiers of components are used mainly to drive down the cost for them. And so some clients face these type of challenges when it comes to working with some EPCs that would like to give the client the cheapest solution as possible. However, when it comes to us, we basically mitigate it by ensuring that all the components are procured from only tier one module suppliers, like your Jinko Solar, your JA Solar, when it comes to inverters, SMA, Fronios. So these are ways to also mitigate that particular challenge. So I will end it here and hand it over to Mr. Doughton to maybe add on, since they have much more hands-on experience with this.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sorry. Wait, thanks, Dory. You're spot on. Yeah, that's right there. It's just bringing them in. The little challenge we see here is that, especially in Nigeria, at least there's one company at least we know that are trying to make solar panels here. We probably need government regulatory to help them succeed more, and also for off-takers to even want to use them. Because one real challenge is almost everything we use, not just here and I, on a solar project, is going to be imported at the end of the day. The modules, the inverters, the batteries, at the end of the day. And yes, it should be encouraging if we can manufacture them here. It should also be encouraging if the government, through policies, can help those that are starting those factories so they can make profit. Because now it's still tough sometimes to use Nigerian-made modules because you can find a cheaper, good option outside. And that's because the duties and stuff like that. But yes, we're looking at it. Everything comes from out of the country. Importation duty challenges are there, shipping, lead times to delivery, and some of the challenges that we see. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I believe that is all that has to be said. Chi, did you have anything to say on this topic still, or no?
Okay, I think my fellow speakers they've actually touched on the main points. Most problem is from the supply side. Shipping times, clearing times. And it will actually help if we can have more of these products manufactured locally. It's good that we have strides, great giant strides being made now. Having solar panels being made in Nigeria, but it would be good if this can be expanded. To other aspects like inverters, like the batteries and the likes. It will actually help a lot in solving this problem of long lead times.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Fortunately, we're 4 minutes past the hour, so our time is pretty much up. But I'm just going to, and I'm so sorry for the other questions that have come in now, but we can't take them due to no time. So please, if you can send us emails or connect with us on social media, on LinkedIn, we'll be happy to answer this. But I just want to give just like a 30 seconds opportunity for the panelists to give a closing remark. Maybe there's something you want to speak about. Maybe it could be an answer to some of these questions that have come in just now, or something else you want to talk about. But what is your last closing remark as we close out today? We'll start with anyone that's ready to go.
Okay, so I'll start. Closing, there are big opportunities in this industry. I think things can only look better, but for everyone that's in the space, developers, funding partners, EPCs, off-takers, we must try and have a great understanding of what we're selling or what we're buying. And I think if that happens, there'll be more people that'll join us. And with in the next many years now, there will be a lot more solar installations all over West Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dutton. Who's going next?
Okay, so I think the solar industry has actually a very bright future. There's a lot of awareness now on climate change and also on the how cost effective it is to deploy solar power vis-a-vis the cost of running fossil fuel generators, and also the policies that are being created by governments in this region to foster the utilization and development and utilization of solar power. You know, then also the especially most companies now, have this drive to deploy solar power, also to boost their image, their brand as an eco-friendly company. So this combination of all these factors, actually put solar panel on the trajectory, of high growth, in this region. If we look at Nigeria, for instance, the C&I sector, is a very large sector. We have the energy demand of the C&I sector is currently is around 7,900 megawatts. So if you compare this with what has been deployed, we have barely scratched the surface. So there's still a large opportunity, a lot of work to be done. And then also on the utility scale side, there's a lot of work also to be done, but that has a lot of dependencies. So generally speaking, there's a lot of opportunity and the future is bright. Thank you.
Doreen.
Sure. Not so far off from what has already been mentioned. Yes, the solar opportunity is great, and the various stakeholders in the industry all can have a piece of the pie. And also, but each of the stakeholders have a part to play collectively to make this happen. Which involves all of us. We have EPCs, we have financiers here, we have policy people involved in policy making for the various governments also here. And we also have clients probably in the chat as well, who are also looking to have an investment in solar. So we all have a part to play. And lastly, just a bit about EcoLegal. We do provide zero down payment on financing for solar projects in the CNI space. So if an EPC wants to partner with us to execute their projects, we are open. If a developer wants to partner with us to execute their projects, we are also open. Same with direct clients, companies that are interested in taking up solar at zero down payment at all in the costs. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this webinar. And so you've heard us talk about current state of the solar market in the region, policy and regulatory development, financing and investment opportunities, talked about latest technologies and innovation trends. We talked about some case studies on successful projects deployed and implemented in the region, as well as future outlook in the solar market. I hope this was really insightful. I hope it was worth your while. Thank you so much to our esteemed panelists who shared their experience and their knowledge. Thank you for the insightful questions from the audience. We really appreciate it. Again, you can reach out to us on LinkedIn. I believe that's the easier way to reach out to us. If you have questions, you want to contact us for whatever reason, you can contact me if you need smart meters, right? And whatever you need, just let me know or let everybody else know. But I just want to say thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our esteemed panelists for that wonderful and insightful session. Thank you to our audience as well for those amazing questions. And I believe our panelists have beautifully answered all those questions. And I would also like to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Clenergy, for their immense support to organize this event. And a special thanks to Miss Queen for superbly managing the session and collaborating with us on this event. We promise you to come back soon with more exciting sessions. The floor is now open for networking. Thank you all.